The management of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital on Thursday scuttled a planned demonstration by a section of the workers there to demand the removal of the hospital's chief executive, Gilbert Bako. The staff accused the CEO of mismanaging the biggest health referral facility in the country. Joy News' Raymond Aqua reports demonstration took off well until the workers were alerted of a management order for them to stay away from the protest.
Whether they like it or not, we will not do it.
The demonstration, which was expected to come on Thursday, April 21, 2016, was to call on government to remove the chief executive officer, Gilbert Bako, from office. The staff had accused Dr. Bako of mismanaging resources at the facility. The CEO assumed office in July 2014 following staff agitation against the then acting CEO, Reverend Albert Okpoti-Boche, and then board chair, Edianan, over similar accusations. These agitations have led to the dismissal of President of the Senior Staff Association of the hospital, Charles Ofe-Pam, earlier this month. Director of Administration of the facility, Nuruddin Mohammed, in a statement said the planned action was uncalled for because management has not been informed. But General Secretary of the Senior Staff Association, James Clifford Oblite, addressing the disappointed workers after the botched demonstration, said although the demonstration has been stopped, they'll resist any attempt to stop them from embarking on a similar protest next week.
We will continue to resist intimidation. We will continue to resist victimization. I am saying we shall continue to resist harassment.
Another leader of the Senior Staff Association, who pleaded anonymity, insisted they had followed the right procedures by informing the police, hence the opposition to their demonstration was unwarranted.
This hospital, you can see the level of corruption in this hospital. This hospital, we come to work and we don't have tools to work with. And these are the basic things staff of the hospital are asking the President Mahama to withdraw Gilbert Bako, because he's not just capable of handling the day-to-day affairs of the hospital. We have complained to the minister, we've complained to Gilbert, we've complained to the board, but nothing, no concrete steps is being taken.
Have you reported to the Labour Commission?
Of course, I think we have the cases at the Labour Commission. We have run out of patience. We have we can't just wait anymore.
But there are specific grievance procedures. Running out of patience is not one of them, isn't it?
I think we've done our best because we have done every procedure we're supposed to do.
But you know you provide essential services.
We do.
And by the Labour Act, you're not supposed to embark on strikes or demonstrations of this sort.
Well, that is why the first steps is we are doing a demonstration if the need becomes.
This particular demonstration is equally outlawed because you provide essential services.
Well, fine. Now we have notified the police, so maybe I'm not.
The police does not guarantee a lawful conduct against the Labour Act. Does the police do so?
Well. I'm sure we have sought a permission from them. So.
The Northern Region Police Command has intercepted a Kumasi-bound bus with 320 AK-47 rifles and 2 sets of magazines at Wulugu. A second bus filled with bags of compressed leaves suspected to be marijuana was also impounded. 2 persons, Saibu Sando and Mutala Mohammed, who were arrested in connection with the ammunition seizure, are currently on remand, while the police command is preparing to confirm the dry leaves found on the bus. Northern Region Police Public Relations Officer ASP Ebenezer Tete tells Joy News the 2 buses were arrested upon a tip-off.
Northern Regional Police Public Relations Officer ASP Ebenezer Tete confirmed this to Joy News. He said the 2 buses were arrested upon a tip-off at Savulugu and Wulugu, all in the Northern Region.
We picked up the intelligence that the bus was actually coming from the Upper East Region. And based on the intelligence information, we intercepted the bus at Savulugu and 320 ammunitions, AK-47 ammunitions, 320 and 2 set of magazines. The magazines are basically the chamber in which the ammunitions are fixing to enable you operate the rifles. It can be AK-47 or any other rifle. So upon interrogation, he told us that he bought those ammunitions from somebody in Boku some years back, and that he was taking them to Kumasi to offer them for sale. So we took him to court today, and he has since been remanded. We are conducting further checks to, probably get to the bottom of this case.
The suspects have since been processed for court and remanded into police custody. For Joy News, Hashmin Mohammed reports from Tamale.
The Electricity Company of Ghana says it is fixing the billing errors a number of its customers have complained about in recent times. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has already indicated it intends to sanction the company for failing to address the challenge, largely blamed on 40 prepaid meters which overbills customers. Joy News' Francis Abang has been speaking with the head of public relations at ECG, William Boateng, on the complaints, but first asked him why they do not inform customers when they identify the problem.
There are some issues with this prepaid, and I think we need to clarify some of them. Some of them is not about the meter. Some of them is about the charges. You know, the tariff itself, the way it works. You know, it's progressive. The more you consume, the more we pay. That's how it is. So when you move from one bracket to another bracket, it's like your meter speeds up because you are paying higher tariff at another bracket. This type of progressive tariff system, it's sometimes creates problems because the customer will look at it. For the past 1 week, I just spent about 20 Ghana. Why is that the following week I'm spending around 60 Ghana?
Okay,
because you have moved to another tariff regime. So that is one aspect of the issue. One aspect.
I think the one that's causing a lot of problems today is with they buying the credits, 40 cedis, they go home, and even before they can start using what they've bought, they've realized that they've been deducted by 10, 15, 20 cedis. What is that problem? What's happening with our meters?
Well, we are talking about the new meters, where we made mention of the fact that instead of the system tripping after you've exhausted your credit or your money, your deposit, it does not. And so whilst you are off, it's like you are consuming and it's not tripping. And so when you can mean that you are owing the company having used some power instead of tripping, that particular system it's not working. And so when you come here as you are owing us, and that's where we have a challenge with our customers who think that, of course, it's a prepaid, and after using the money they've deposited, the system should trip. They don't want any explanation.
Okay, but how long have you known that this problem existed with your meters?
No, the new meter is not across board. It's a session from Legon around Osu, you know, it is not widespread. But that is what has generated the heat now, and we are working on it as we speak. We've increased the technicians on the field to go and then try and work on these things to make sure that the breakers are working, so that after you've exhausted your deposit, the system don't start put you on a postpaid. You know, the meter has that dual function where after the prepaid, it can switch to the postpaid system where you consume and later you owe the company. And I think that is what the issue is all about.
Okay, but if you knew that this meter could trip and go to postpaid and that we will be in a position to owe you, this is not our fault as customers. This is the fault of the ECG. How come we are supposed to pay for your faults?
Well, I don't think that there's any fault anywhere or there's any cheating anywhere. It is power that you consumed. Only that I admit that the contract is about prepaid, and so you have deposited money. If it's exhausted, the system should trip for you to come and vent. I agree with you on that score. So unfortunately, the meter has been designed such that after that, we spoke to the experts and they thought that if they add that additional facility, it's more of a customer care, and that you don't put the customer in a very bad state, especially when in the night the credit is exhausted. So the customer can at least use, and then in the morning they will come and vent. But having created that problem, now that we realize that it's an issue, a serious issue, we've spoke to our technicians and the expert, the metering session, and they are working on that. And we are going to make sure that those breakers are fixed.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still to come in the bulletin, the Supreme Court has stopped the National Media Commission from going ahead to implement a controversial broadcasting regulation, which media houses say is a veiled attempt to repress them. Stay tuned, we'll be back in a day. The Supreme Court has stopped the National Media Commission from going ahead to implement the newly introduced Content Standards Regulation LI 22224. The law, when implemented, would require media houses to submit a document of their program lineup to the Commission for approval before broadcasting. The court, in a 7-member unanimous decision, granted an injunction application by the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association. President of GHBA welcomed the ruling, describing it as a victory for press freedom.
I'll say it's a victory for our democracy, a victory for media freedom. But this is just an injunction. So the substantive case still pens, and we are hoping that we'll win that as well. I mean, obviously, we are doing this because we feel that there are certain aspects of the regulation that are contrary to the constitution of the country. And so, yes, we'll keep fighting, but we're doing that with the background that at the end of the day, we should have a system that is sanitized, that will promote good broadcasting standards, and that's what we are hoping for.
But the argument has always been that, and that's of course the NMC's argument, that they are not seeking to gag the media. All they are seeking to do is to sanitize, the media space.
I mean, we have our own means of sanitizing the system. We have a code of conduct, we have name and shame, we work with the Media Foundation and all that. But at the end of the day, the cardinal principle is that every law has to sit with the mother law. The mother law is the constitution of the country. And so if you're bringing in a regulation that is contrary to what the constitution says, then we have to challenge it. So we're not challenging the fact that we don't want content to be regulated in the market. That's not what we are saying. We're not challenging the fact that we don't want the system to be sanitized. Indeed, we are one of the few associations that have been calling on the regulators, be it NCA, NMC, that let's have a sanitized system. But if you bring in out the law, you have to make sure that it's consistent with the Constitution. And that is where we have faulted them. But it's not to say we are fighting the NMC. We are members of the NMC. We have a representation at the NMC. So we are not fighting them. We are fighting the law. And at the end of the day, we feel that what will come out will be something that will benefit the industry as a whole. Because at the end of the day, we still want to go back to the drawing board with the NMC and say, okay, what are the aspects that you don't want? How do we take out this one? What can we add? And all that. So it's a judge-job process. Unfortunately, as we were going through the process, they took the matter to the Parliament and it became law. And so we were left with no option but than to go to court.
Now, the Registrar General's Department has apparently overpaid an air conditioning specialist by at least 10,000%. A copy of audited accounting by Joy News has revealed that Butex Services was to be paid 2,734 cedis, but was paid 273,420 cedis instead, an excess of 270 of more than 270,000. Now, some staff of Attorney General's Department were earlier on Thursday before the Public Accounts Committee for Parliament to respond to several audit queries ranging from wrongful payment and misapplication of funds as contained in the Auditor General's report. But in a departure from normal proceedings, the committee decided to undertake the hearings in camera due to the sensitive nature of the judiciary. Joy News' parliamentary correspondent Elton John Brobe joins me in the studio for more on the matter. Good evening to you, Elton. Now, you have cited a document cataloguing some of these overpayment to parties in excess of, can you take us through it?
Okay, so we are talking about two companies. One is BU Tech Services. They are contractors. They undertake repairs of air conditioners belonging to the Registrar General's Department. And this company, according to the Auditor General's report covering the period 2013, was contracted to undertake some repair works. Now, they were to be paid an amount of 2,734, but according to this particular report, they were paid 273,420. So if you look at the two figures, 2,734, I don't know whether it was an oversight or somebody decided to put the figures together to become 273,000 Ghana. So it's showing an overpayment of over 270.685,000 Ghana cedis. Now, this same company was again paid an amount of 43,474 Ghana cedis. Now, in the words of the Auditor General, apart from the overpayment, they were also paid this amount of money for no work done, because according to the Auditor General, there is no receipt or no work order to back this additional payment of 43,000 Ghana cedis. In all, they've been overpaid to the tune of 273,000 Ghana. It is just one company. The other company is called Green Zone Construction Company Limited.
Before you move on to tell us the companies, so this, you believe that these things came up at the PAC session today, except because it was held in camera. We were not privy, or the cameras were not allowed to, get to know what's happening in the. Even though on previous occasions we've been part of it.
Exactly.
So these are documents that became available to you.
Exactly. And relating to the issue about the Registrar General's Department, what I've been told is that they will appear before the committee next week, hopefully Monday or Tuesday, to respond to this particular audit query. The reason why today's session was held in camera, because it related also to the Judicial Service of Ghana, and all of them are captured under the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General. So there was no need for them to invite the media to be part, due to what they described as the sensitive nature of the matters that were under consideration.
Okay, but you're talking about the second
the other company is called Green Zone Construction Company Limited. They carried out, according to the report, some constructional works at the regional offices of the Registrar General's Department at Tamale, and was to be paid an amount of 22,268. They ended up taking 169,000 Ghana cedis, and according to the Auditor General, there was no supporting documents and nothing to be justified as work having been done by this particular company. Overall, the amount of money involved is over almost 500,000 Ghana cedis. The recommendation is that the Registrar General's Department recover this amount of money. Their response to this query is that they've been able to take back some of the money, but some still outstanding, and they are going after these individuals.
Did they state in the audit report, in their response in the audit query, why it happened?
Well, in the words of the Auditor General, the overpayments and payment for no work done occurred as a result of poor coordination among management and a lack of supervision of the functions and activities of the principal accountant. They've even demanded that the principal accountant be sanctioned for supervising what they describe as rot in the Registrar General's Department on this particular subject. So this is about the Registrar General's Department.
Right.
Now, the Judicial Secretary came before Parliament, at least according to my checks from members of the committee, to respond to some issues. Now, according to the chairman of the committee, most of the issues that he responded to were not captured in the Auditor General's report, because those, according to him, were sensitive matters that was not to be put in the public domain. That's how come they invited him to respond to those issues in camera. First of all, he confirmed to me that 3 accounts officers working with the Judicial Service are serving various terms in prison for some misappropriation. One was either fined, paid the money, so for that person, he did not go to prison. But 3 accounts officers are serving various jail terms in our prisons. The reason being that they supervise over some kind of rot at the Judicial Service. They've also concluded that because they don't have a comprehensive accounting system, that's how come people were able to, manipulate the system to their advantage. He will not go into details as to some of the things that they discuss in camera, because for him, some of them are still pending in court. There's a case about a convict who, on his way from the court to prison, got missing. As for now, we don't even know where that person is. Captured in the Auditor General.
So you've spoken with him. Let's hear the chairman.
The infractions against judicial service, we ourselves on the committee were wondering how that could happen. So we wanted to find out whether it was systemic or something was got missing. And we didn't think that. We wanted the entire public to come to recognize what systemic challenges were in the judiciary. Some back time in the past, what has come out was the weakness of their accounting function. To the extent that when we started interrogating, it came to light that what has been reported, that has been published, and the copies that you have did not disclose those things. They actually prosecuted 4 people who were in charge of the accounts. and three of them were jailed. They are still in prison. One of them took the option of a fine and paid the fine. And it was clear that invariably it's like there was no accounting function within the judicial service. Basic primary books for accounting were not there, and therefore they didn't even have figures. What they did after the prosecution and the jailing and all that was that they had to initially even hire consultants, to come to try to rewrite the books for audit inspection. And they've gone through a lot to try to come out. I can't put all the things into the public domain yet, but this is what I can probably disclose. And our thinking has been proved right. There were certain sensitive areas we didn't think that we should actually put to the public domain. What the auditors thought should be part of public consumption is what they have published. If you go to their website, it will be there. And we also thought likewise. So we had a meeting and discussed, and the committee accepted for us to do in camera because of how sensitive the judicial service is.
Right, so we had the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, Atani Delali Emmanuel. Now, their proceedings for today were held in camera, but I'm wondering if they're to report to Parliament, how do they present their findings?
Well, that will be the next stage, because their work, whatever they are doing, eventually they have to put together a report and present to Parliament, and for Parliament to take a decision on it. I don't know how they're going to handle this particular issue relating to the judicial side, because once it was done in camera, it means that the details of it should not be made public. That is an issue that we'll have to wait and see how they want to go about it.
Okay, thank you very much, Elton John Robe is our parliamentary correspondent. We're moving to Kumasi, where over 50 members of the Metropolitan Assembly, they have threatened to bring activities of the KMA to a close next week if the coordinating director fails to summon a General Assembly to elect a presiding member. 3 elections have failed to choose between Nana Kofi Senya and Edum Hene Nana Bafo Eje Kese. There were 50 Assembly members accused management of KMA of failing to arrange another election after close to 4 months since the last meeting. Lava FM's Erastus Sari Donko joins me on the line with more. Good evening to you, Erastus. What more can you tell us about this tango between the Assembly members and the Assembly?
Well, if you recall, it's been some time now back and forth concerning the presiding member election. They've gone 3 occasions. They've not been able to produce the required number in producing a presiding member between Edum Hene Bafo Eje Kese and Nana Kofi Senya, who just left office as the presiding member. Now, after the 3rd time, which happened in somewhere January, the coordinating director by law is supposed to declare another time where they could have the next election to see if they could come up with a presiding member. That, the Assembly members think, is taking too long after 3 months. And so they have passed a resolution today coming from over 50 of the Assembly members, and they are giving the coordinating director 7 days to declare the next day for that election. And they are saying that if they do not comply, then they will besiege the Assembly. They will ensure that all activities come to a halt.
Has the coordinating member said anything about, responded to all of that?
I called him this evening, and he said that, well, they have received the resolution yet. They are considering it. They will not be pushed by threats to declare within 7 days when they are going to have the election. They will take it through the consideration process, and they will come up with a date. But he was emphasizing that it's not that they've not given the Assembly members a chance. They've given them several chances. It even resulted in cases and all that. They have to go to Antwerp back and forth and all that. And so they will give them a chance, but that will be on their own terms, and they will not be binded by the threat.
All right, thank you very much, Erastus Sari Donko, joining us from Kumasi with that update. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you business news. All right, so Emmanuel is here as usual with the business news. Good evening to you, Emmanuel.
Easy. Right.
What's coming up?
Yes, a lot more revelations coming out of the the 7th edition of the Ghana Oil and Gas Summit, at the trade fair, at the Accra International Conference Center. And today the Petroleum Minister tells us that very soon a national gas policy will be out to actually help manage and regulate the gas sector. Right. Which is good news for Ghana.
It is indeed good news because it's needed for the regulation of the sector, so other players can come in. Exactly. So it's critical. Right, take it away.
Yesterday we learned that the FPSO is not coming. It's not coming on stream anytime soon. And today, yes.
Well, not anytime soon. It will take a while, yes, but it will come. I'm sure.
Maybe a week and more.
Let's be hopeful and optimistic.
All right. Okay. So time for business. And the Minister of Petroleum, Emmanuel has hinted government has initiated the process to institute a national policy for the gas industry. He disclosed this to Joy Business at the ongoing 7th edition of the annual Ghana Oil, Gas and Power Summit, which is under the theme Driving Ghana's Oil and Gas and Power Potential Forward. More in this Business Desk report.
The national gas policy is to help manage and regulate the country's gas demand and supply, as well as infrastructure requirements and price mechanisms. Speaking to Joy Business after the opening of the 7th edition of the annual Ghana Oil, Gas and Power Summit, the minister explained this has become crucial due to the increase in the country's energy demands.
I was very happy that today I was able to also announce that we have laid before Cabinet the gas master plan. As Ghana enters into a gas era, we now finished the Atani gas processing plant, which is now producing gas. That gas that is being produced will be topped up by the 10 project. By 2017, we are going to have additional 60 million standard cubic feet of gas on top of the one we are getting from Jubilee. In the coming weeks, we'll be starting the OCTP ENI project. That project will also bring additional 180 million. And then we are also looking even in the long term, some additional projects. We have projected that Ghana by 2020 should be producing enough gas for about 3,000 megawatts of power. And what we are saying is that as we enter the gas era, we need a plan to guide our gas era, and that is why we have come up with a gas master plan. Gas master plan basically will show us the demand and supply projections. It will also lay out the infrastructure requirements and price mechanisms, our priorities in terms of the gas. And that plan is currently before Cabinet. We believe that once it is approved, we will now work on a gas act, a gas policy and a gas act, and basically ultimately have a gas law in place. That's our plan. And we believe that we are on the right track in doing that. These are key for our country's future.
Okay. Let's dwell a bit on the master plan. Can you share with us some of the key components of that master plan?
As I said, for example, the master plan is projecting the indigenous gas that will be produced.
Questions have, however, been raised about whether the policy is that relevant, given that the Oil and Gas Exploration and Protection Bill, a border framework, is even yet to be passed into law. But the head of policy at the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, Dr. Ishmael Aka, insists the policy is still relevant for developing the gas industry, especially to the benefit of electricity consumers.
We need the policy, in fact, it's just a subset of the EMP bill. The reason being that we have to define the mandate of several institutions in the sector. We have to look at how even our gas to be priced. We have to look at whether we are using the gas, for instance, for electricity generation or, say, for fertilizer manufacturing. We have to look whether we should export the gas or use it locally. So all these decisions. The only challenge we have is the introduction of a gas rent fund in the pricing regime. Now, because of the gas rent fund, the gas we import from Nigeria is cheaper than what we buy in Ghana. And when you do that, what it means is that the cost of producing power in Ghana will be relatively higher than Nigeria. And if an investor wants to build a plant, considering these two factors, they may consider Nigeria instead of Ghana. So we should really look at the gas rent fund.
All right, so the Ghana Summit on Oil and Gas and Power ended in Accra this evening. Now, there are calls for more private businesses to do more in supporting state institutions. This, the advocates believe, would make public institutions more efficient to the benefit of the economy at large. Unibank has, in this regard, done various repair works at the offices of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and also donated items worth 100,000 cedis to the Assembly as part of its corporate social responsibility. Richard Osayanane is the head of new business retail development at Unibank.
Plus, is a way to assist state institutions to re-energize themselves and perform their mandate. Unibank was approached by the Assembly to assist them in refurbishing their key facilities that they use in their day-to-day management of the city. I mean, this was a situation where even the Assembly Hall that they meet to deliberate on issues bordering the capital city was not in the best of state. Dilapidated chairs, the tables, the curtains. So when we were approached, we didn't hesitate because we feel that AMA itself is a very critical and strategic partner when it comes to management of Accra, the regional capital. It depends on what the state institution wants and how you can convince private sector to come and assist you. We were convinced that assisting the AMA will go a long way to let them work hard.
Now, government is worried Ghanaian firms are not taking advantage of the public-private partnership PPP initiatives in the housing industry. According to the Minister of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Dr. Kweku Agyeman-Mensah, only foreign companies are engaging government in the PPP initiatives like the affordable housing project at the expense of local ones. Speaking at a real estate conference organized by Lamudi and DevTraco here in Accra, Dr. Agyeman-Mensah, however, urged indigenous housing firms to exploit the opportunities presented by PPP initiatives.
Government has over the years been looking out for companies interested in entering into PPP arrangements. Thankfully, the response has been very encouraging, with City Realty being one of the first companies currently in partnership with the government for the construction of 5,000 affordable housing units branded Nyamidua Estates. Other proposals are being processed, and if found to meet government's criteria, the green light will be given for works to begin. I wish to note that despite the numerous expressions of interest received by the Ministry for PPP arrangements, most of the companies are foreign. I therefore wish to use this platform to encourage local companies in Ghana to also invest in the industry, particularly affordable rental housing units, instead of the luxury apartments which most of our people cannot afford.
All right, so John Kujamwako has just joined me here to give us more updates on the stock market. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Emmanuel.
How's the stock market faring?
The stock market is still not recovering, basically. After we recording that wonderful performance last 2 days, it's still struggling to actually reach, just get back to its footing. But then we recorded just about 22,681 in terms of volume at 33,375 as the value of it. Not that significant there, still dropping. But the most important part is that, Standard Chartered Bank lost yesterday, and then today they've also lost almost about something around 33 pesos per share. So we look at the next slide, you actually see that they are really not getting on well on the market. I don't really know what exactly is happening as to whether it's about that general impression that the banks are not really doing well because they are turning out some kind of losses as a result of the non-performing loans and all. We can't tell, but most of the banking stocks aren't doing well today. Standard Chartered Bank did not do well. SSB did not do well. Ecobank actually did not really come up for take, but then a lot of them actually did not do that well. The only gainer for the market happened to be Goyle, which only added 1 peso to their investors' capital. So basically, that is how what actually happened. So Goyle, like I said, Goyle actually added on 1 peso. Standard Chartered Bank lost 33, GCB lost 7, and of course, Societe Generale lost 1. So you can tell the financial stocks are not really doing well on the Ghana stock. But then at the commodities level, crude oil added on $2.31 cents. I don't know why I'm using Ghana cedis.
That's all right.
Exactly. To actually be trading as we speak. You know, still, I say it's trading because the Mercantile Exchange is still trading. It's still on. They have about 3 hours to actually close. That, as at now, it's about 44.82 per barrel. Gold, after gaining 26 cents, now 1,125. Cocoa 11, now trading 3,090. So at the commodity level, I think it's quite good. It's quite impressive. But locally, we are not doing that well. And then currency, still struggling, basically, as the cedi did gain against the peso, the dollar, but lost against the British pound, the euro, and then the Chinese one, but also did gain marginally against the CFA franc. So the recovery for even the cedi is quite struggling to really recover itself, even though there's been some marginal maintenance in terms of the value against the US dollar and the CFA. But against the British pound, the cedi has not been doing that well, especially last month and this month. But the euro, because we don't deal in it that much, we still seem to be hovering around almost about 13 in terms of the losses. So basically, that's how the market has been. We want actually, tomorrow is Friday. Let's see what happens. But as usual, because inflation and other trends aren't that good, I'm sure the market will keep suffering until some of these dynamics do change.
All right. Thank you very much, John Kojo Amako.
You're welcome.
That was John Kojo Amako with the stock market analysis. My name is Emmanuel.atani. Good evening and keep watching.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, as part of a campaign in Accra to prevent a repeat of the 2014 cholera outbreak that killed more than 100 people, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has asked all sub-metros within the metropolis to intensify monitoring of sanitary conditions. They have been also asked to enforce the relevant bylaws for food vendors to comply with the proper and hygienic handling of food. The latest to join in the fight against this deadly disease is the coalition of NGOs in water and sanitation CONOAS. Its Southern Zonal Coordinator Benjamin Latte, however, says the ridding of filth will remain a mirage because Ghana doesn't have the political will to tackle the situation, neither does it have the financial capacity to handle it.
And when you go to the sub-metros, they have various environmental sanitation offices. They are virtually sitting in their office doing nothing. Doing nothing not because they don't want to do anything, but they are, excuse me using this language, professional disables. Professional disables in the sense that they don't have vehicles to go to town. They don't have what it takes to work as effectively as they've done. And so what do you expect for them to do? So on the contrary, that cannot be done, and it should not be done today. So it is no fault of theirs, and that's a national issue. You come about it. Now we also look at marginalized.
So that's why you are there to help.
That's why we are here. That's why we are all bringing all these issues. Like, let's put more money. Look, water is life. Sanitation is dignity. Are you so proud as a Ghanaian to go out and find out? People mock you and say that in your country, 150 people could die because of cholera. Not because of any earthquake, but because of something that can easily be prevented. That's why we in CONOAS are saying that, look, there's something we are not doing well. And the first thing we are not doing well is that we don't have the political will to tackle this issue. We don't have the financial capacity to tackle this issue. Because if you look at the budget of local government, how much is voted into that area of sanitation? You know it. It's a ministry with other departments. So that is one of the issues. Look at the water resource, water ministry. How much of it is being invested into water expansions and all those things? These are the issues that CONOAS is coming at daily and every day. In our budget statement this year, we were able to say that the value of the budget given to water sector has reduced. If it's not only the reduction has it happened, now inflation has set in. Not only has inflation set in, the second aspect is, delay. Then the other side aspect is the fact that it's a donor-led economy in the water sector that we have. We are saying that if a donor doesn't come to help you manage your water system, then you can't provide water. If a donor comes to help you to manage your sanitation system, you can't manage it. If you are in such a state, what do you expect of a country?
Now, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development says it is determined to minimize cholera cases this year. As part of its efforts in combating the filth-related disease, the ministry, in collaboration with UNICEF, has organized a sensitization outreach program for food vendors at the Rolling Canteen at the ministries here in Accra.
In 2014, the nation witnessed over 28,000 cases of cholera with over 200 deaths. This situation led to the introduction of the National Sanitation Day as one of the measures in combating the disease. The sanitation program, many observers say, has failed to achieve the anticipated result. This is manifested in continuous waning of citizens' participation in the once-a-month cleanup exercise. Stakeholders have said that one other sure way of spreading cholera is through food vending. On the sensitization visit to the Rawlings canteen at the ministries in Accra, food vendors were given aprons, food covers and tablecloths to adopt hygienic practices to enhance their work. Addressing the media after the program, the Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Alhaji Collins Dauda, acknowledged that some success was chalked with the introduction of the National Sanitation Day, evident in the reduction of cholera cases for 2015. He noted that combating cholera does not only rest on the shoulders of government and called for a change in the lukewarm attitude towards the National Sanitation Day.
With the collaboration of everybody, we'll be able to prevent cholera and have zero incidence of cholera. As a result of the national sanitation last year, we recorded 696. That is a very significant reduction, and it's been attributed to the National Sanitation Day exercise. So it means that if we intensify it, we'll come to zero. So we'll get to zero this year. Government alone cannot educate. In fact, we use you to educate our people. We use the media to talk to our people. So we also expect that even when we haven't spoken about cholera, when we haven't spoken about good sanitation practices, we expect the media, whether print or electronic, you spare some time to talk about sanitation, because it's about life, it is about death.
The Ashanti Regional Election Task Force has identified speculative reporting and rumor mongering as major causes of disturbances during elections in the region. Chairman of the task force, DCOP Kofi Boakye, has cautioned political party officials fond of influencing the work of EC officials to stop. He was speaking at a meeting of the Ashanti Regional Security Task Force, election stakeholders and political parties on peace in the upcoming limited voter registration exercise. But the opposition MPP executives present at the meeting had some concerns.
The Ashanti Regional Election Task Force has identified speculative reporting and rumor mongering as major causes of disturbances during elections in the region. Chairman of the task force, DCOP Kofi Boakye, has cautioned political party officials fond of influencing the work of EC officials to stop. He was speaking at a meeting of the Ashanti Regional Security Task Force, election stakeholders and political parties on peace in the upcoming limited voter registration exercise.
We have people going around with macho men intimidating others from voting. Because of all these problems, the Electoral Task Force, Regional Election Task Force, decided that because of the impending limited registration, it is imperative and in fact crucial to meet the political parties so that all of you can bring out your grievances. The electoral regional chairman is also here, and he will read out the laws and rules governing the registration. Then the police officers too are here to listen to the rules and laws and regulations so that they can enforce the law to the latter in this coming limited registration.
But the opposition MPP executives present at the meeting had some concerns.
People organize buses for them to come to those constituencies to register. So if you see people in the bus coming to register, I think there is nothing illegal about it. Again, if you have the notion that people will come to the center and will pose questions for their eligibility to register there, that is why we have the processes of challenge and which we need to adhere to. So we shouldn't make this an issue to encourage people to take the law into their own hands, to misbehave as it happened in the last registration exercises in the example to
The registration is being done at an electoral area. And in electoral area, we have about 10 police stations, or in some areas more. So the fact that you bring one bus and even 100 people go to one area does not mean they all stay in one police station. It's an electoral area affair. Moreover, with the issue about the spiritual aspect, yes, the regional commander of the security forces, yes, they did apply the law. But it could be applied fairly when everyone is doing his part in a fair, transparent, and professional manner.
Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report for Joy News.
Up next, we'll bring you international news. All right, so we're just having a conversation about knocking people out, which unfortunately we can't share with you. Aisha, can we?
No,
we can't.
no.
Okay, so what's coming up from Journeys Interactive?
Of course, the president is still accounting to the people of Volta region, but he has come under some criticism for saying that if people are not feeling prosperous under his government, then they have not been taking advantage of the opportunities his government has offered.
I don't really believe in what he's saying, in the sense that there are other people with the skills, and then if he's saying he has done what he has done and then the economy is good, everybody should see that he has done it well.
And we tackle the issue of male bleaching. I mean, why do some men want to change the color of their skin?
A matter of insecurities.
Men nowadays now also bleach to attract women.
I think they don't accept what they really look like. They want to look better to impress people or something.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. I'll be back before you know.
All right, Aisha will be back, but Aisha, I actually have a problem with something you said. You said, why do some men want to change the color of their skin?
Yes.
Why does anybody want to change the color of their skin?
Why? I mean, why?
So that's the way you should put it, not men. It's strange that men are doing it, but...
it used to be women and, you know, custom.
Yeah.
Now people are accepting
why does anybody want to change the color of their skin?
Come on.
I mean, you have a tundra image.
Oh,
and you should...
please. Don't even go there.
All right, so we'll have everything coming up. We have sports, entertainment, and Journeys Interactive. Please stay tuned. We're back in a bit. Welcome back to Joy News Prime Time for a recap of our top stories. And the Supreme Court has stopped the National Media Commission from going ahead to implement a controversial broadcasting regulation, which media houses say it is a veiled attempt to repress them. A demonstration by staff of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to demand the removal of its chief executive failed to draw in most of the workers. The Northern Region Police Command has intercepted a Kumasi-bound bus with 320 AK-47 rifles. In business, Minister for Petroleum hints of a process to institute a national policy to regulate and manage the country's gas sector. And the Electricity Company of Ghana has responded to threats by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission to sanction it for faulty metering of consumers. It says it is fixing the problem. Now, the leadership of the opposition New Patriotic Party in the Swami constituency says it will not be intimidated by any political party in its quest to establish contact with the electorate in the area. The NDC accused the NPP of trying to remove northern voters from the register with its current door-to-door exercise in the Swami constituency. But speaking at a news conference, Communications Director for the Swami NPP, Dr. Osei Bobie, says the party procured the voters register to enable them establish contact with voters and sell the ideas to them ahead of the November polls.
After
among the voters. The 1992.
We do apologize for that poor quality of the sound. We'll try and work on that and get it back, bring it back to you. But police in Accra are investigating the case of a tenant who poured acid on the 16-year-old son of his landlord, leaving him with severe burns on his body. The suspected Nigerian male, Suleiman Yugoda, poured the corrosive substance on his victim over a misunderstanding with his father. Joy News' Beatrice Edu has been to speak with Andy, who is currently on admission in a hospital.
It was a quiet evening that fateful Monday at home as Andy put together his books in readiness for school the next day. Little did he know that his education would be cut short temporarily. Later that night, an angry Nigerian tenant who owed Andy's father began arguing with him on their tenancy agreement. But the young boy who tried to intervene became the victim. His burns, which became maggot-infested, runs from the back of his neck to his buttocks.
Around 10:30 to 11 the night, and I heard that I was asleep, and I heard that my father was inside the house talking with one of the tenants. And I woke up and I went, he's a Nigerian.
So what actually did he do, the reason he had issues with your father? What was the problem?
Like he said his time was due. His tenancy agreement, he was due, he have to go. He forged another document. He signed on, my father signed 2 years agreement.
So your father is a landlord?
He signed 2 years. And when the 2 years was due, he forged another document. That he don't sign 2 years, but he signed 4 years. Which means that was like a lie. But I realized that the man was coming with small bucket, acid was inside, but I don't know the acid. He was coming to pour it to my father. But he was already towards us. One was coming to pour the acid on my father, and I rushed there, and acid poured on me. I thought it was hot water. So I did not know, and I realized that my dress was rotten, yes, and my skin.
So which part of your body did the acid pour on?
My stomach, and my back, my face, and my neck, my hands, both of them.
I'm told that sometimes you get maggots coming out from the wound.
Yes, please.
Does it happen all the time?
No. Yesterday, I went to dressing yesterday. It happened yesterday. All my hands, my stomach were coming out.
How did that make you feel?
I was very disturbed.
But that was not all. The tenant poured the rest of the corrosive substance on his dad, 2 other relatives, and another tenant. So I have the nurse in charge of the bench unit here at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Doris Interco. Let me find out from you, how extensive is the 16-year-old, that's Andy, Andy's wounds?
If we are talking about the body, the total body surface area involved, then we will say it's 38%.
38%. What about the depth of the wound?
It's a full thickness, meaning the whole layers of the muscle, the tissue is affected. His dressing, he has to spend about 500 Ghana cedi anytime he changes dressing.
And he does that how often?
Twice in a week. We could have changed it 3 times, but because of the cost involved, which is unbearable.
And how long does he have to be here?
He will need surgical intervention. Now there's some areas of the wound is ready to be grafted. So he will have to spend about 3 more months. So if he has to be changing dressing twice in a week, which is 1,000 cedis, then you can do the calculation. But the cost of the surgery will be around 3,000. And And it will be more than that. He will need series.
Andy's family say they don't know how long they can continue to pay the huge medical bills as he battles to overcome his extensive injuries, and are praying help will come to him fast. My name is Beatrice Edu for Joy News.
All right, if you're in a position to help and you want to help, you can reach out to us. You can call our front desk, or you can send us a message on Twitter or on any of our social media platforms, or you can contact me directly on Facebook. In some other news, the opposition New Patriotic Party has flayed President Mahama for lying his way into government. Speaking on Joy News' election program Minority Caucus, National Youth Organizer of the NPP says Ghanaians must reject the Mahama administration in the upcoming poll for peddling falsehood.
It is clear that this government has not only lied to the people of Ghana, but has also decided to play mind games with us. It is instructive to note that when Professor Mills passed on at Ekunfi Otua, then President John Dramani Mahama stated that he was the luckiest vice president in history, that he was given access and he was running the country. He stated it. And that he said he was in charge of he used the word in charge of our country. So it presupposes that the 4 years he shared more of it with Mills. We all knew the condition of our late president. And so for Mahama to then say that he was in charge, it was clear that he was in charge. He was also in charge of our economic management team that was tasked to ensure that the bread and butter economy of our country was on a sound footing. Fast forward to 2016, he's now telling us that no, he needs a second term. But when the NDC, they were launching their campaign in 2012, he said Ghanaians should give NDC another term. But now the odds are against him. He's now saying that, look, ladies and gentlemen, we have failed the 8 years that you gave us as a party. So Ghanaians should give you another 4 years for you to now sprinkle money in their pocket. He said that less than a month ago. Today he makes an about time, as Kabo was saying, that he cannot go around putting money in people's pocket. It is only those who lack the skill, this is the president speaking, those who lack the skill to benefit from our buoyant economy, they are complaining. It's sad. Nobody can tell me that multinationals like Coca-Cola, telecom giants, mining companies, they lack the skill, the human resource, the strategic planning to survive under these conditions. I am clear in my mind that this is a government, a social democratic government, that has failed to put the welfare of the people at the center.
Up next, we bring you international news. We bring you in showbiz. All right, so the video that you just saw shows that one of our ministers, Alhaji Yusuf Hussaini, the Roads and Highways Minister, apparently is flashing money at a party.
Money sweets.
Well,
That's where we draw the curtains on Joy News Interactive.
He has it. So
my name is Aisha Ibrahim.
All right, thank you very much, Aisha. And that's it for the bulletin. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. Lots of very interesting stories there that you may want to read some more about. That's it on behalf of the team. I wish you a good night.